Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the channel. How are we all doing? As always, before I go any further, I've got to thank all the subscribers who have subscribed to the channel. It has been a privilege to have you subscribe to the channel, and let's see if we can creep those numbers up a little bit higher. Today I am doing, you guessed it, it's another party night, and we are using completely different set of lighting today. So I'll show you what I'm using on the lighting side of things. It's an Equinox affair. And when I say Equinox affair, all the lighting tonight is by Equinox, which is manufactured by ProLight, and they are located in England, the United Kingdom. So on the lighting, we are using the Equinox double decker. These lights are exceptionally bright. I've had them for a little while, but I was waiting for the right opportunity to use them in a fairly large size venue. And you can see this is a fairly large size venue with a large dance floor, high ceilings. So I've got no doubt whatsoever these lights will cover this venue with ease, no issues whatsoever. And also as well, we are using the Equinox Crossfire XP, that's for extra power. They are fairly bright. Again, they give the illusion as if you're kind of like using moving heads to a certain degree. They give a very wide spread of light beams and patterns, basically filling the whole entire dance floor. So they would actually fill the ceilings, the walls, the dance floor. They just literally go everywhere. That's why I went for them, basically, because you get a very wide coverage with them. That is the Equinox Crossfire XP, extra power. That is the lighting side of things. Somebody asked me about the Equinox double decker. They wanted to see them in, I believe it's UV mode, ultraviolet mode. I will be using that later on tonight, so you get to see what that's like as well. Also, I'm just going to experiment. I'm going to try using one to see how far I can get with one, to see just how bright one is. Would one actually fill this venue? Yeah, I think one would actually fill this venue with light, basically, just to show you how one of these fixtures are so super bright. I've got no doubts whatsoever that one of these fixtures, the Equinox double decker, will fill this venue. I'm just a little experiment to see how far I could take one fixture, basically. So that will be interesting to find out the results of that. Also, if you want to find out more specs, and also I deep dive into the Equinox double decker, I will leave the link up in the top corner, whether it be the right or left hand side. It'd be one of those corners. Click on it and then you can see my walkthrough, where I take you through a thorough view or a thorough deep dive into the Equinox double decker. Controlling the lighting, we are using the ADJ Wolfmix WMX1. I do have a load of presets which I've taken time to walk through and set up, basically, and set up my live edits and turn them into presets. So I've spent a fair bit of time programming these lights. That is the Equinox double decker and the Crossfire XP to get them to work in unison all together via the Wolfmix WMX1. And this is my trusty T-bar, which I have pre-wired and kind of like made it into sort of like a gig bar, an ever exchangeable gig bar, basically. If I wanted to, I could put another clamp underneath there and hang lights lower and raise it up, basically, if I wanted to add more fixtures to it. Also as well, that's all being controlled by the Donner wireless transmitter and receivers. You can see them there blinking away. I've got two for the main master lights, and the secondary lights are linked out via wire, basically. So I could use potentially 4 Donner receivers, but I prefer just to use wire for the secondary lights, basically, so it just makes it a little bit more easier. And obviously I haven't got to worry about battery anxiety with the Donner receivers. In saying that, I do have a USB 5-volt battery, which I normally clip onto here. That goes onto that Velcro up there, and I plug these two USB, I think they're USB-A, into the battery power banks, and this little lead here, if you can see that, that will plug into my Donner receivers, and that will power them all night, all day, as long as they want, as long as I've got power going to it. And we are going to do a real-time review of the Equinox double decker tonight. So this is the first time that I am using them out in this large venue, so we're going to see how they pan out. I've got quite a few presets saved and set for those, so that will be really interesting to see. Right, so as you can see, we've got it down, the lighting down to a reasonable dark level in order to show what the Equinox double decker can do. I do have the camera on a stand at the moment, but as you can see, I've got the brightness up to 100% on the double deckers, and bearing in mind, I am literally washing the ceiling. Basically, the lights are put directly at the ceiling because I don't really want to angle them on people's eyes or in order not to blind them. So I've directly angled the light on the ceiling and it's bouncing off the ceiling and washing the floor. As you can see, we are at 100% brightness and it is super mega bright. Bearing in mind the type of colour what I'm using, so we're just going to walk through a few colours. That's the green and once again that is 100% brightness. That's lime green, cyan. You can see how bright it is. It literally just fills this entire hall. Let's choose a different colour. There's the UV. That would be interesting to see how that looks during the night when they're on the dance floor. Any white clothing, white teeth, and also dandruff, which will probably show up as well. Bright white and pink. It's a very warm pink. The colour matching on this as well, it's very good, very warm, very true colour matching. You can see you're getting a very good spread of light. You can see how I've got them angled. I'm going to take you off the stand, hopefully you can see that. That's how I've got them angled. Basically, you can see they're angled pretty much directly at the ceiling. I will get a lot more light if I was to kind of like mount them in the horizontal position, but again, that would kind of like hit people in their eyes, which is not what I want to do. So on this way, when they're sitting down and they look at it, it shouldn't be hitting them in their eyes, so they shouldn't be complaining about the lights too bright. So that is the Equinox double decker. When the dance floor is in action and we've got a few more bodies, when we've got some bodies on the dance floor, I'll give you a quick walk through as well once I take the level down, because the level is ridiculously bright. Let's drop the level down on the Wolf Mix WMX1. Drop the brightness down. That's probably where I would have it, and that's 44%. And you can see even at 44% it is still bright. And you get a good idea of what the Equinox Crossfire XP look like as well. That is very bright as well, because XP, extra power, and you get a good spread of light. It's literally covering everywhere, the walls, the floors, the back of the hall as well. And also the ceiling, obviously. So you know, the Crossfire, it does cover very wide spread, very wide angle. Very good light. Right, so that is the Equinox double decker. Obviously, I would do a bit more footage on it once we've got a few more guests arriving and they're hitting the dance floor, and give you a quick walkthrough as well. You can see what it really looks like in its element. Once again, people, this is a real-time, real-life review of the Equinox double decker. I've got to thank Pro Lighting for sending this over to me to review. Thank you very much, Pro Light. It is very much appreciated. And also as well, they've got a new multi-bar which has been released, should I say. It has been released probably about 3 weeks ago. So hopefully I should be getting my hands on that and carrying out a review on that as well. And also their new DJ booth as well, which looks stunning. Hopefully I hope to get my hands on that and carry out a review on that. So keep it locked into Collins Mobile Disco and you will see me back on the other side. As I always say, with a little bit of dance floor action to show you.
People